Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Ask Barry V Show. I'm Barry Vanover. This is my partner, Miles Baker. This show is brought to you again this week by our amazing offer, BizMax, our business maximizer consulting program combined with Studio Pro management software for the insane price of $199. If you want business systems for your school that's going to get real results, that's enabled us to have one of the largest martial arts organizations in the world with Premier Martial Arts. Enables us to have one of the top consulting companies in the country. If you want that kind of consulting and that kind of detailed information, there's no reason to not have it right now. Because for what is the price of one down payment a month, you're going to get top-notch consulting and get top-notch results. Now, on top of that, you're going to get Studio Pro management software to run and organize your studio. Everything from, it includes point of sale software, attendance tracking, inventory tracking, marketing, email funneling, text messaging, all of that. It even prints your certificates, for your belt ranking certificates for you. All of that in one management software, one of the greatest management tools that you could have in your business. Both of those things are only $199. Now, we only have a few spots available left for this offer because we were going to take the first 100. So if you're listening to me, I would love my friends that are listening to the Ask Barry V Show to be the ones on this program. So that is a no-brainer to sign up for. No more are there any excuses that you don't either have the right information or the right tools to be successful. All you need to do is go to BizMax special.com. That's bizmaxspecial.com, and read and listen to me talk about all the details of that program. All right, Mr. Baker, let's go ahead and get started with these questions.
Our first question this week comes from John C. He says, I'm having trouble getting staff to make phone calls to the leads that we have gathered. How do you suggest motivating them to do this? Any ideas?
Oh, man. That's a good question. My gut instinct is if they work for you and you tell them to do it, then they got to do it. That's first and foremost, okay? Now, also, but you got to remember, if you hired a guy to be a martial arts instructor, that's what you hired him for, and now you're trying to maybe turn him into a telemarketer. You know, the one thing us as owners, we have to realize is who we're dealing with in those type of situations, like, what did I really hire this person for? What did their job description say when I hired them? And now am I trying to get them to do something different? So I wouldn't want to lose a world-class quality instructor over making him do something that he doesn't want to do.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you tell him to do something, they got to do it. So that seems like a little bit of contradiction in terms, and it is. Main thing is remember this, who they are, what you hired them for. Train them well. Do they just don't know what to say when they're making these leads calls, and it's becoming so uncomfortable, it's becoming painful for them, and they'll quit. I've seen people try to force like that old school VIP marketing where you're a clipboard walking around in the community with a uniform, tying together names, addresses, and phone numbers, and people lost a lot of instructors by trying to make people do that. Yep. Same concept. So train them well so that the task you're asking them to do is simple, effective, and they get results to be motivated by. Okay. Next thing is maybe do they need some kind of tools in this lead tracking to be successful? We were just talking about Studio Pro, and we use Studio Pro for all of our schools, and we use Studio Pro even for our consulting company. And I'm on it all day long. So when someone sends a lead in, I put them in the software. I can track the notes and conversation and next action to the call. Am I supposed to call these people back in 2 weeks? What did they say? Did they get dropped into some type of marketing email funnel? So make sure you're giving your staff members the tools that they need to be successful in this telemarketing or in these lead calls as well. So that's the best advice that I can give you when it comes to motivating or more or less really training your staff and giving them the right information and tools to do this.
Next question comes from Coy W. Asks, best way to get the parents of the friends to come to your White Belt Buddy Bash so you can tell them about the next day's mass intro. Let me phrase that one more time. So best way to get the parents of the friends to come to your White Belt Buddy Bash. I understand what he's saying. So you have a buddy bash, you got your new students coming in, they're bringing their buddies. How do you get the buddies' parents to also be there?
Well, that's actually a good question.
It is a good question.
I don't think I've ever been asked that before.
Yeah.
You know, because what we would think is we don't care if their buddies come, because we're going to give we don't care if the buddies' parents come, and they probably won't. That's probably a tough thing to make happen.
Yeah.
But that's why we give them that card that invites them back the very next day with the date and time and what's going to happen. It's like you're invited to Premier Martial Arts Saturday morning at 10 a.m. August 25th to take your second lesson, get a free uniform, break a rule board in front of your parents, earn your white belt, all that jargon on the card. We tell the kids it's tomorrow at 10 o'clock and we give them the card to go home and show mom and dad.
So you're really relying on the excitement that you can invoke in those kids to go home and beg their parents to bring you back.
Right, yeah, make sure the white belt buddy
bash.
But
we have had a form also for white belt buddy bash flyers to give to your newest students to give to their buddies that has their information. So at least you collect the buddies' information. And I believe also we've had some times where we experimented with them suggesting bringing the parents. But again, it's still so hard to get those parents to come.
Well, I think more too is not just handing them the information anymore. Remember, every kid that comes in your school, they're coming in for a white belt buddy bash. They're coming in for a parents' night out party. They're coming in for any event. Immediately, you're gathering their name, address, phone number, and email. Now, every kid 5 years old and above has memorized their mom and dad's name and at least their phone number, maybe not their email. So you're trying to gather as much of that information. Now, if the buddy parents are dropping off, then you have the buddy parents fill that information out. But if you have an email or a phone number that night, that Friday night after the white belt buddy bash, email the buddy parents, text the buddy parents, and explain and have something pre-written and pre-designed to email them about the mass intro the next day as well. Besides the kid having the card that they're going to run home and show mom and dad and be excited about. So that's really not answering his question, but is enhancing the promotions of the white belt buddy bash. Yeah, the only thing and I don't want to repeat what you just said, but it has to be in the invitation where you're inviting your existing white belts and the information you're putting out to the parents to try to get the buddy parents to attend.
Yeah, it's kind of, which would you rather do? Just get more buddies and don't make it a requirement for the parents. Yeah, and have the tool to be able to text them.
Yeah, because they may think that the buddy parents have to be there.
Or they can't come.
The friend to come, and I wouldn't want that.
Right, yeah. Our next question comes from Carlos M. He says, love this show, never stop. Your consulting has helped my business so much. Now for my question. I think I'm ready to hire my first full-time employee, thanks to you. Would I hire an instructor or program director type person first?
Okay, so Carlos, man, thanks for tuning into the show. We love doing it. We don't have any plans on stopping it immediately or anything. But you said something that caught my attention, which is your consulting. This show is not consulting. This show is just advice. You know, if this is the type of questions and consulting you're getting, maybe anybody's getting from somewhere else, this is not consulting. Consulting is systems, detailed systems with A, B, C, D, do this, get this result. You know, this is just us giving random advice and hoping to help somebody with opening their mind or giving them some good ideas. But going back to, he's ready. Oh, and it's good that he's grown enough that he's getting ready to hire his first employee. But which one, an instructor you're hiring or a program director? Well, first of all, it sounds like Carlos is still going to be active in the business. So to me, as long as Carlos is still there working a full-time job inside his business, then it becomes which person he wants to hire becomes two things. Which of those two is Carlos best at? Is he the best instructor? And he probably couldn't find an instructor as good as him, but he can find and train a program director. Or is Carlos really good at signing people up and doing that? So it's really where Carlos wants to be. Does he want to be in the program director, the marketing, the sales position since he's the owner, or does he want to stay on the floor and teach? So it's really, Carlos, which one that you prefer to do, hire and train the other one, you know? And I'm a big advocate for hiring a full-time employee. I would rather have one. If I was a one-man show, I'd rather have one full-time person than 3 or 4 part-time people and even worse, volunteers, right? Because that one full-time guy, now you have support. Now you have staff. Now you have reason to train people and become sharp, and even a little bit of responsibility to try to help them grow in the martial arts industry, right? So you have somebody full-time in the trenches with you. I think you're making a good decision there.
And we rarely see part-time program directors work.
Very rarely see part-time anything
if ever
work
I can
out.
Think of an example. Yeah.
Or worse is volunteer people.
Right.
Unless it's a unique situation, they end up being the most expensive help you can get.
Next question, John Doe asks. He says, I just watched episode 64 of Ask Barry V Show, and I had a lot of great takeaways, as always. I just had one question, the response to keeping students active topic. You mentioned that requiring one new kata per belt rank may be too overwhelming to some students, especially the ones who are on the verge of quitting. That stated, how do you believe that katas should be delivered to students? Thank you for the advice.
And this was John Doe, so we lost his real name.
We did.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. Look, man, this conversation about katas and forms and traditional martial arts versus what we now refer to as eclectic, maybe modern martial arts or whatever. All these terms have been around for so long. My only point is this, and it's not got to do with what you're teaching, whether you're teaching katas or you're teaching one steps, or you're teaching Krav Maga, or you're teaching Jiu-Jitsu, whatever. It's the amount of information that you're requiring different age groups of students to learn, memorize, and be proficient at over a period of time. Basically, are you requiring kids, right? I don't care if they're 8 to 12, 5 to 7. We were just talking about your son's in the first grade, how much homework he already has and school just started, right? And plus now imagine he's doing some style of martial arts where maybe the testing's 2 months or 3 months, right? 3 months is normal, but they're requiring to learn all this memorized stuff and have it ready in a few weeks. Then after that few weeks is over, there's more new stuff to try to learn and memorize. And no wonder students quit.
School takes,
they can't keep up.
The parents say that's enough. It's too much for my child. School takes precedent over this after school activity.
And what if they want to do something else? Gymnastics doesn't require but base level instinct and very minimum memorization.
Right.
And that's kind of memorization as you're doing something, right?
Yep.
Even basketball and the three big sports is more get better by doing, and there's not a lot of memorization. Now later on they got to learn how to do a play, or how to do in baseball oh man, I could tell I'm not a baseball.
Baseball.
But you got to be able to read the field, and they practice getting a double out and stuff like that, getting the guy on second, throwing all that type of thing, right? So it's by doing, and you're adding so much to a child. Well, why do I think of children? What about adults? Adults are busy working and doing all this stuff, and we're trying to add more and more to their life. So it's not about what you teach in katas. It's the amount of information that you're requiring somebody to memorize every 3 months, right? Is that too much, and it's costing you and giving you a retention problem, and you're losing students over it? But let's take katas. And I think you alluded to this. A great way to teach katas is if you're not belong to some type of martial arts organization where some grandmaster has to test everything, then I like taking a kata and breaking it down into sections, combos, so to speak, and spreading it out over so many belt ranks. So instead of having 12 katas that somebody's got to memorize to get a black belt, maybe you knock that down to 4 or 6 or 5, and you break the katas up into combos over belt ranks. And if those can rotate and do a rotating curriculum with it, even better. But now people don't have to memorize so much. It's like self-defense. The reason we like Krav Maga is because self-defense is simple, not a lot of memorization to them. Whereas when I used to do, I used to teach some Kempo from Greg Silva. There's a lot of memorization in Kempo self-defense. Now, nothing against Kempo. I love Kempo, right? And I think it's beautiful. Again, it goes back to how many of those self-defense, because some Kempo styles, man, they're learning 20 self-defense techniques of belt rank, a lot, because they have so much, Kempo has so much great information. So really it's about that. How much, can you cut anything out so that it's not so overwhelming to memorize a curriculum? So man, the dude said this is episode 65 then.
Wow.
a year and a half. We've done 65 of episodes.
Yep.
So that's pretty
We
great.
have to do something big for 100, huh?
Gotta plan something cool for 100. I have no idea. Bill Wallace was great for 50.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. And I don't know, we'll plan something. Hey guys, if I'm giving you a tip, this time of year is public schools. Either in the north, it's schools getting ready to start. In the south, it's already started. Do first things first, right? We've given you, last show, I think, or the show before, we gave you 4 different ways to network with your PTA and do fundraisers. Attack the things that give you the most impact first and get on back to school. Because the concept of back to school will be over soon and you'll be missing out on a great opportunity. So attack your PTA and do the 4 things, the 4 ideas we gave you for your back to school promotions with your PTA. Go to today, right now, spend 5 minutes, go to www.bizmaxspecial.com. Review that information, okay? All right, that's it. You got anything else?
That's it.
I will see you next time.